There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit ComicShopLocator.com to find a store near you.
What's up, the internet? It's Kyle, aka for today, Kevin Malone. And this is in stores this week here on The Experience. I am joined by Dan Wickline, who got a new nickname today, Sergeant Theory, because Dan has theories that make my head hurt.
Just a little about time travel.
Yeah, I was texting with one of the other producers during Dan's show earlier, going, I am not on enough hallucinogens to be able to follow along. And he goes, what does that mean? I go, my head hurts. That was the conversation. But Dan has theories about time travel, and they don't involve a DeLorean. So
no.
Today's Dan Wickline show for that information.
I once got an email from O'Reilly Auto Parts back when I was working for a website where we covered the news and entertainment. And I had come across on their website the fact that in the parts, if you put in a certain part number, you could order a flux capacitor from O'Reilly Auto Parts. It's a joke that they had on there, but I had made an article out of it, and the article became very popular and drove a lot of traffic to O'Reilly's website, and they noticed and sent me a little thank you letter.
Let's see if it's still there. It's still there.
Yeah.
On O'Reilly right now. Just gonna here. Yep.
Actually, that's an updated. They updated the website and added the picture. When I did the article, they didn't have the picture. I'm impressed. They're running with that theme.
They've got technical specs and everything.
Material compatibility, plutonium, working speed, 88 miles per hour, maximum power, 121 gigawatts. That's all straight from the movie.
Mm-hmm. Someone at O'Reilly has way too much time on their hands. I love it.
Yep. I like the fact they've kept that going.
Yeah, me too. So it's in stores this week, so we should talk about things that are in comic book stores and not auto parts stores, even though I need to go to the auto parts store. I need to buy new windshield wipers.
I think we should get O'Reilly to sponsor our show now.
O'Reilly.
Auto parts.
We've lost the plot, Dan.
Ouch.
I think we're both a little exhausted.
We lost the plot when we lost Nick.
No, we lost the plot before we lost Nick. We lost the plot when Nick signed on. But you had to come up with a theory of time travel, and I'm trying to put together a big 4th of July event plus a Pride event. So we're all a little exhausted. Plus, I had to it took me 2 hours to cut through the brush that was my facial hair.
Oh, I just assumed you're using a weed whacker, you know.
It still took me like 2 hours. I had to get the special brush clearing head for the weed whacker. Oh, it was bad. So, you know. But I suppose we should talk about some comics.
Yeah, sure. I think that's what the people are here for.
I don't. I think they're here for this kind of garbage. But still, let's talk about some comics.
We might be entertaining. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. So should we start with? Let's start by showing a. I'm going to completely blank on words now.
You're talking about the video?
Yeah, that's what that word is. Video.
All right, this week, folks, we've got the release of Venom Legacy number 200. It's actually the 35th issue of the current series from Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman. This is the culmination of their 4-year run on this. It also included 2 major crossover events. Now, this morning, Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman released a video through Marvel talking about it. And we thought instead of having the two of us goofballs trying to pitch this book to you, let's bring in those 2 goofballs. So here is the video that they posted in case you haven't had a chance to see it.
All right. You talked a little faster than I was hoping. Now it's ready. Here we go.
These 2 goofballs.
Wow, guys. Hi, Donny Cates here. We wanted to make a farewell video to kind of celebrate that we did it, that we are at Venom 200, which is just insane. It's such an honor to be able to do that. I'm joined here with Ryan Stegman, my best friend and my partner in crime. And to think that 4 years ago we got together and we planned this whole crazy thing out, and man, it worked.
Yeah, this is definitely the longest I've ever been on a series, which when I started it out, I would have never thought that, we'd be here 4 years, 5 years, whatever it is later.
To think about when we started on this book, that Venom was still kind of in Spider-Man's shadow, and that over the course of like almost 4 years now, there's been two line-wide Marvel events centered around Eddie Brock. You guys are going to be able to see in Venom 200 that Ryan and I are not slowing down towards the end.
We've got some of the coolest images in the series coming up in 200. If you thought that Venom with a battle axe with a star field on his costume with glowing eyes was crazy, you haven't seen much yet.
Yeah, that's the thing. We're going to end this run the way that we started it, by exploding everything you ever thought that you knew and setting the stage for something that's truly and honestly going to change Eddie and the Marvel universe forever.
It's going to be so striking and so awesome, and one of the biggest moments in the series.
You are not ready for Venom 200 and what comes after it.
We don't envy the person that has to write Venom after we're done with it, and we also can't fathom what they could possibly do once our run is done.
The world of Venom has a very bright future. And I, for one, am so happy and so honored to have played even a small role in the history of my favorite character in the entire world.
I want to thank all the fans that have been reading it all along, and I hope that you stick with us with whatever we do next, because Donnie and I, this show will not be ending.
No. The Stegman Cates train is going to stay rolling pretty hard. To everybody out there, to the Marvel staff, but especially to you guys, to the fans, you have truly changed our life, and we will never forget this experience. And like Ryan said, we hope that you'll join us for whatever comes next. Mwah.
It's not that often we get these kind of character-defining runs on books like we used to. I mean, Chris Claremont on X-Men, the Jeff Loeb, Jim Lee run on Batman, the Kevin Smith, Phil Hester run on Green Arrow. but invariably the toughest job on the planet is the person that comes in after that. You know,
Who is our friend Ram V?
Rom's coming on next.
There's a team of writers taking over Venom, one of which is Ram V.
Yeah, he's got a high bar to reach for on this one. Not that he doesn't do great. I mean, everything I've read from him has been great. So I think it's a great, it's good that they've got him included. I don't know who the rest of the cast is, but Cates and Stegman's run has been, Cates and Stegman's run has been amazing. And, to see it wrapping up like this on the Legacy 200, basically, I think that's great. And there are a lot of amazing covers out there involved. They've got a Jock cover, Stegman's cover, which is this one right here. There's a J. Scott Campbell, a Patrick Gleason, Mark Bagley variant. It's pretty amazing. We don't get a lot of events like this when it comes to comics.
No, you don't often. Like I said, you said it. Character defining events. I'm gonna cop to something. It was 15 issues into this run before I could be bothered to give a crap. I couldn't stand this book for the first 10 issues.
Yeah.
And then it started to really grow. I kept reading it, though, because I'm friends with Ryan. And then 12, 13, 14 really kind of sunk its teeth into me once they got into the minutia of this Venom event that was happening. This Null and the symbiote god and all that kind of stuff. It wasn't until they got into the really kind of nitty gritty of that,
right,
that this book actually captured my interest.
And think about
weird.
Oh yeah, well think about where the character is now compared to where basically it started, which was halfway through the original Secret Wars, and Peter Parker needs a new costume and he picks the wrong machine.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it all came from, and just growing from there. So this is a pretty interesting and amazing run, not only for Stegman and Cates on the book, but just for the character and the growth that he's gone through. Where did I go?
When you think about it this way, one of the other interesting things is that for a long time, Venom was a character who would show up, mess stuff up, disappear. Show up, cause problems, disappear. And now he shows up. He's been around for 4 years continually. They've done 2 crossover events. They talked about it. And he's going to continue on. So they've moved him from essentially a plot device into a mainline character, which is always interesting to see happen.
Yeah.
With a character like this. So
yeah, and he's done that in the films too. I mean, the fact that we have a Venom sequel coming out, the initial movie made $800 million, and they're building around it now. And was it the best movie ever? No. Was it a fun movie? Absolutely. Tom Hardy was fun in the character, and the little back and forth he had with himself was fun to watch. I hope they do a little better job with the second one? Absolutely. But
yeah, I hope the script's more solid with the second one. I had big problems with the writing. I thought it was humorous, which is the reason that I can tolerate it. The action was okay. But I'm excited to see the second one. I'm excited to see what they do with Carnage.
Yeah. You're being a little laggy right now. You got something going on over there? You trying to download the secret codes or?
No, I'm living my life in a laggy situation.
Oh, okay. So it's more of an actual life thing. I got it. I see.
Yeah, my internet, it's storming here. So
it's storming?
Uh-huh.
Wow, we have a heat wave everywhere else.
Oh no, it's hot here. but
Yeah.
that's why it's raining, because cold air from Lake Erie, we mix with hot air from literally everywhere else, rains
Oh,
right
right.
on my house, essentially.
Yeah, I was just looking at that video thinking, where the hell does Donnie Cates live that a leather jacket is appropriate today?
He's in Texas.
Oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, definitely.
Ironically, Ryan Stegman's just up the road from me. So, all right. Let's move on from Venom. Not like we have to sell copies of Venom. It'll do it itself. Let's talk about this one. I don't understand. But something about these books, she's Peach has done 2 now. Like she did the Demon Days X-Men. Now she's doing this Demon Days Mariko. I don't understand why, but there's something that just draws me to these books.
Not just you. It seems to draw a lot of people. And this is most of the books we're going to talk about Marvel today are one-shots. Other than the Venom book, everything else is basically a one-shot. We got an annual and 3 technical one-shots. But the last one did huge numbers. So it's the second of 5 that she's doing in the Demon Days saga. But here we have, in the shadow of Kurosaki Mountain, a secret history comes to light. The Demon Days saga by Stormbreaker's Peach Momoko continues. Mariko Yoshida hears mysterious voices and has strange dreams that feel real. Her red-headed maiden who dresses all in black might know more than she lets on. What is the connection between Mariko and the creatures called Oni and Kurosaki Mountain? Find out in the next installment of this tale of magic, monsters, and Marvel characters like you've never seen them before. Yeah, the first, like I said, the first one did big business. This is a 40-page one-shot, and they do bring in other characters. Yeah, it's Mariko from the Wolverine storyline, but I'm pretty sure the redhead who dresses in all black is Black Widow. You know, and it's her own little universe she's playing with here. She's writing, she's drawing.
By all accounts, this should be something that I'd be screaming about. Why are we doing this? What's the point? Why do we need this? But that is not the case for whatever reason. The first one I read because, well, we were going to talk about it and I needed to read it. And I was hooked. Like, I don't know why. I don't know what it is about Peach's writing mixed with her art style that got me, but I'm excited for these books, and that baffles me. And when I say that, just guys, you guys know if you watch this show regular, I don't read Marvel very often. I don't read DC very often. I'm primarily an indie guy. So to have something that really grabs me like this from one of the big 2 is super interesting.
Well, this definitely has an indie manga feel to it, vibe to it. So even though it's Marvel's characters, it's not a Marvel book. It is a Peach Momoko book. You know?
It's true.
This is her book. This is her stamp all over it. This is not the Marvel way. This is her way. And God, more power to her that she's gotten to this point so quickly where she can do a book like this and a series like this, and people are jumping for it.
Absolutely. All right. Let's move on to something I'm completely convinced I am over.
Heroes Reborn, Weapon X, and Final Flight. This is from Ed Brisson and Roland Bashi. And, of course, they bastardized the tagline. They're the best at what they do. In a world without the Avengers, the Squadron Supreme protects and defends the interests of America. But where does that leave a country like Canada? The Great White North is now a wasteland. Their forests are scorched. Their provinces annexed. Their people barely surviving. Who will stand up and protect them from the supremacy of the Squadron? Why, Weapon X and Final Flight, of course. This is another 48-page one-shot, and like the majority of Heroes Reborn outside of the main story, they're doing these little one shots, and they've been dropping each week. We're getting close to the end of the Heroes Reborn storyline. It'll probably be collected all together. You know, all the one shots will probably be all collected together, or at least maybe 2 volumes, because there are quite a few of them. But again, they're creating this unique universe and giving us something different to read. Kind of like the Peach Momoko, they're giving us Marvel done differently.
I said I was completely over it, and I am. I am to the point where, for me, I have very little interest in a Marvel world without the existing canon. However, because I want to talk about things that are positive, I like the returning Wolverine to Weapon X as a name. I like him. I like putting him back with the Alpha Flight.
Yeah.
Even though they're calling him the Final Flight, like I like this kind of return to the real origins of the character.
Yeah.
Even if I'm not in love with the way that they're going about doing it, I do like that. And I will say that on this book, this particular issue, we have art from Roland Boshi. I kind of dig the art too. Like, you know, it's sort of those things. It's got a couple of things really going for it that'll keep me hooked, will keep me into it.
Yeah.
But this Heroes Reborn thing for me has got to pay off in a really, really deep way in order for me to not feel like I've wasted my energy.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this here and now. I will be incredibly happy to have been wrong if it does that.
Okay.
So
I agree with you. I do like the idea that they're kind of putting him back with the Canadian teams, that they're doing a very Canadian themed book. The only way they could have gone more Canadians to bring back Puck, change his name to Timbits, and name the big robot Poutine. Other than that, I think it's a good move they got going here. And I do like the demonic look to Sasquatch, to the Sasquatch back there. Mm-hmm. I guess that's Shaman and Aurora. And
that's what it looks like.
Yeah, and I'm guessing that's Madison Jeffries making his version of the Guardian armor.
Yeah. I mean, we know it's not Captain Canuck.
Yeah. Well, Marvel doesn't own Captain Canuck.
I know, that's why we know it's not him.
Yeah. But, yeah, I think I'm looking forward to picking it up. I've been enjoying the Heroes Reborn just because it's, again, a chance to read these characters in a new way and not burdened by everything that's been going on in the Marvel Universe lately. So sometimes when you want to jump back in, and I mean, for a while there, I wasn't reading a lot of comics, so I'm kind of finding my way back in, and this has been a fun way to jump in without needing all of the catch-up, you know?
Right. And I can understand that appeal, certainly.
Though if it was Canadian, it'd be all of the mayonnaise, not the ketchup.
It would be all of the poutine, not the ketchup.
Yeah.
But anyhow, I can certainly understand that appeal, but like I said, for me, I'm at a place in my life, at least with Marvel, where stick to what you dance with the girl that brung you.
Yeah.
I'm a little over Marvel events, I think, is the big thing.
I agree with you on that.
We just got through a great big Venom event, and I was like, okay, King in Black, Venom event, okay, I got it. I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
And now hey, we're into this event coming right after DC Future State, which is kind of the same style of event. And it's just like, how many times am I willing to let someone hit me over the head before I stop? And when I find that number as it relates to comic books, I'll let you know.
Didn't you used to own a comic store?
I did.
So the answer's a lot. You let people beat you over the head a lot.
Right. I've yet to reach the number. I'll let you know. It's exactly it. It's one of those things is that I keep getting. It's that scene from The Godfather. Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
I picture the old Tootsie Pop commercial with the owl standing over you, beating the head each time, going, boom, a 1, boom, a 2.
In my brain, it's the baby from the show The Dinosaurs.
Not
Hitting
the
me with
mama.
the frying pan, going, not the cannon, not the cannon. So,
All right, let's move on.
all right, let's move on to another one shot.
All right, which one are we doing? Ah, yes.
Yes,
A Captain America annual. This
I
ties-
like that ties into Infinite Destinies.
Yeah, this is number 2 of was it 2 of, well, at least the backup story, 2 of 8 of Super Spy versus Super Spy. But this took me a while to find the creative team. Every listing I saw for this didn't have the creative team listed, but I finally found it. It's Jerry Dugan and Mark, and I'm guessing it's Castillo and not Castillo. So it's Castillo. Captain America versus Overtime. The fugitive known as Overtime. Castiello. Yeah, see, is it Castiello or is the L's a Y? Castillo.
Or Castillo.
So Jerry and Marco did this book,
Right.
and the fugitive known as Overtime broke out of death row when the Time Stone chose to bond with him and his soul, giving him powers he barely understood. Now, thanks to Captain America, his time is up. I love the idea that basically we have a character that's bonding with an Infinity Stone, but it's the Time Stone of all things. You know, it's not, the Tesseract, or it's not the Space Stone or any of those. It's the Time Stone.
Well, I mean, that'll solve our Loki issues.
Yeah.
But so the thing about this, guys, and this is a big thing, right? Is that the first part of this story, the Infinite Fury story, took part in Iron Man Annual 1, and the next part is in Black Cat Annual 1. So this is an event that's only happening in the annuals. Which, if you're going to throw another event at us, I suppose that's the most tolerable way to throw an event at you. You know, it's like you're already at the fair, now go to the concert.
Yeah.
Or go. You're already at the 4th of July celebration. Go to the hot dog eating contest.
The last time I remember them doing something like that was what, Atlantis Attacks? Many years ago. Yeah. So I do like that idea because then you're just dealing with one shots. You're not messing up the main story continuity. Mess with the annuals. Fine. That's what the annuals are there for.
Yes. And it used to be that was how it was, right? Is that you'd have a character and it'd be going along in their storyline, just kind of ho-hum. And then the annual would happen and things would be crazy, but it was just the annual. So it wasn't like they're going to stick around. He'd have Spider-Man battle some wild thing, or, Captain America cross over into a bigger book or into a different book. But it was just in the annual, so it wasn't, you knew it wasn't going to stick around for long. I liken it to when I was explaining it to customers, when Oliver Queen would show up on Flash.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, this is a one-time deal. It happened once a season, maybe twice.
Mm-hmm.
Like annuals happen once a year. Maybe they do an annual and a special, something like that. But then it was over.
Right.
So I kind of like this.
Yeah. I like the cover. It's got a cool feel to it. It almost looks like Doctor Strange, but it's not.
It does have a Doctor Strange vibe.
Yeah.
All right. So the last Marvel book we have for this evening is Planet Size X-Men.
Mm-hmm. It's another Jerry Dugan book with Pepe Larraz, I guess it's Pepe Larraz.
Mm-hmm. Pepe Larraz.
They came to slay. The Hellfire Gala rages on. But bigger things are afoot, a world away. Make no mistake, this is an X-Men book drawn by a superstar artist, Pepe Larraz. It is absolutely the most important issue of the month. This is a 48-page one-shot. I do like the term planet-size X-Men, playing off of the giant size of X-Men. So I think
Makes me
that's.
think that it's a Blob story.
I was thinking Ego, the Living Planet,
Yeah, but he wasn't a mutant.
wasn't he?
No, he was a celestial.
Oh, or an elder god, or one of the elders of the universe, depending on which continuity.
It's true. Yeah, I don't count him as a mutant, even though he did kind of have mutant tendencies.
Yeah. Maybe it's
I had to think
Mogo.
about this one.
Maybe it's Mogo.
I could get behind that.
Yeah, if anybody could cross over companies, it's a damn Green Lantern planet.
It's true.
Yeah.
I could get behind that.
Now, see, here's another crossover event you were talking about with the Hellfire Gala, which I don't get. It seems like it's just a way to get new costumes for the X-Men.
I'm okay
Yes.
with that. I'm okay with so. One of my favorite Fantastic Four stories was the Future Foundation story.
Okay.
Different costumes, slightly different names, slightly different lineup. I'm okay with doing something on that scale. It's like it's still Magneto. It's still his powers haven't changed. His circumstances haven't changed. He just went shopping. I went shopping and bought a whole bunch of new t-shirts, right? That's why my name is Kevin Malone, because I'm wearing Kevin Malone on my t-shirt today. This is all that Magneto has done. Or all that, it's these characters, they're doing this Hellfire Gala thing, kind of like it's award season or the Met Gala is coming up or whatever, where it's just, this isn't an excuse for the X-Men to be clothes horses.
And you know cosplayers are loving this.
Right.
One of the ones I follow, Gracie the Cosplay Lass, who is on a lot of the Red Sonja book covers.
Mm-hmm.
She's in the middle of making a Mephisto, not Mephisto, Mystique. She's doing Mystique's costume. The dress that she wears in that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be a whole new thing that she can do photos of, stuff like that. And I think if Marvel's smart, they'll start collecting all of these cosplayers, and because they've done that sometimes. They would do a whole photo shoot with these cosplayers.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that would be smart. And like I said, I don't mind the little event so long as it's a vanity exercise, so long as it's superficial.
Yeah.
If they start screwing around with the actual stories of these characters, that's where I get a little hung up. So.
All
right. Well, that'll do it for Marvel. And hey, it's time to take a break.
It is.
So we're going to take a very short break.
Hour and a half tops.
As much as I would love that, we're going to take a minute and a half tops. We'll be right back.
Hour. I get time travel. I'm telling you, time travel throws me off.
Time travel. Yes. We'll be right back.
To be continued. 3 little words that hold the secret to the next great story. 3 words that will thrill you, confound you, give life to new possibilities. Every variation of To Be Continued is a promise of adventure, a promise of excitement, a promise of unseen wonders and unexplored worlds. A promise that every issue you read makes you a part of a never-ending journey, and behind every page there will be an unopened door waiting for you. This story to be continued at your local comic book shop today. Visit ComicShopLocator.com today.
Welcome back, the internet. This is The Experience. I'm Kyle. This is Sergeant Theory, aka Dan Wickline. Reporting for making my brain hurt. This is in stores this week. Yep. This is in stores this week. The show where we talk about books that are in stores this week. Maybe we should have come up with a more a less specific title.
You're talking to the guy that came up with the Dan Wickline show. I may not be the guy to go to for titles.
Naming things is hard. All right, let's move on and talk about everybody but DC. How's that sound?
All right, everybody but. The everybody but category.
Yes. So I'm going to start with this is what's it called?
Stethoscope.
Yes.
This is Bell Sirens one shot, I believe.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And we've got Dave Franchini, friend of the show, as the writer on this. They didn't have the artist listed because we know that's how they work. But there's nothing like
I have Kanan White as the cover artist.
Yes, Kanan White is one of the 3 cover artists.
That's all the information I have.
Yeah. That's because they're always flying by the seat of their pants over there at Zenoscope.
That's why we like them.
Yeah. Trust me, when I used to do a lot more work for them, there was times that I would get a call going, Dan, we need a script by tomorrow morning. Can you do it?
Right. That's why we like them. They tend to operate like we operate, which is we'll figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
So.
All right, so this is Belle from Beauty and the Beast, and there's nothing like a great song to put you in a good mood, but Belle is going to be doing anything but enjoying what these creatures have to say. Tune in for this can't-miss issue packed with 32 beast-hunting pages of action you won't want to miss. By the way, as a sub-note here, that this is Belle from Beauty and the Beast, did you see that Disney Plus is going to be doing a Beauty and the Beast prequel musical TV series? It's going to basically be Gaston and LeFou. Luke Evans and Josh Gads are coming back for it. Use your words.
No. If I want a Beauty and the Beast, I want it from the Zenoscope universe. Like, this is where the good writing is being done on this character these days.
Yes, it is.
Even if the solicitation doesn't make a ton of sense. It's it's one of those things, guys, that these are these one shots that they're doing where they're forwarding the story of these characters in a way that leaves it open for a lot more storytelling. You know, if you get too linear, especially with somebody like Belle from Beauty and the Beast, there's a definitive place that has to go.
Mm-hmm.
If you get purposefully vague, which I think they're doing, and you don't get so incredibly linear, you can go wherever you want and tell whatever story you want. So all of a sudden, Belle is... I mean, it looks like Zangief from Street Fighter. If he was meaner, like you don't have to have an A to B the way they're doing things, which lets you tell a lot more interesting and a lot more frequent stories.
Yeah, by the title, I'm pretty sure that's a siren.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
It is called Belle Sirens.
Yes. I picked up on that. I read the solicitation.
Yeah. Well, in my brain, I couldn't disconnect that siren from the kind you put on top of a fire truck. Right. It took me a minute to get there.
Okay.
So, all right. Let's maybe my favorite writer of all time.
Me?
has a book out
Oh,
this
it's so sweet.
No, P. Craig Russell.
So what we got is the return of Neil Gaiman and P. Craig Russell to Norse mythology. They're starting up the second volume, basically. The first one wrapped up. Now we got Norse Mythology 2,
Okay.
Electric Boogaloo number
Hold
1.
on, you're doing the same thing I do every time. You're saying North mythology.
Norse
Is it possible
mythology.
to say is it possible to say Norse mythology quickly?
No, because we live next to Thor and there's really good mead.
It's true.
Yes. Dark Horse, Norse Mythology, Volume 2, number 1. Neil Gaiman, P. Craig Russell. That's the award-winning team right there. They've also got Matt Horick, Galen Showman, and Lovern Kinzierski. Number one New York. You got me all confuddled now. Number 1 New York Times bestselling author Neil Gaiman and an Eisner Award-winning comics legend P. Craig Russell breathed new life into the ancient Norse stories by taking readers through the creation of the 9 worlds to the epic origin and adventure of Thor, Odin, and Loki, all the way to the end of life itself, Ragnarok. Explore the origins of poetry, good and bad, in the tale of malicious dwarves, suspicious giants, and the wise god Kvasir, whose eventual fate leads to the creation of a powerful mead that many will fight and die for. See, it's all about the mead. Faithfully adapted from the original novel. So
one of the things that happens when Neil Gaiman and P. Craig Russell do books is that they wind up being basically word for word adaptations of the novel. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Oh no.
Look at their American Gods run. Look at some of that, like totally perfect. Norse mythology, which the first volume was so good. The second volume, is picking up kind of where the original novel was pointing, and where the first volume was pointing. Really does get into the actual stories that have, for better or worse, been bastardized into Marvel Comics. It's the whole Thor, Loki, Odin relationship as told by the Norse people without the creative freedom taken by the writers at Marvel over the past 60 years.
You mean that Stan Lee and Larry Lieber weren't sitting there faithfully adapting all the Norse tales?
No, I'm not sure Larry Lieber could spell Norse. So
Donald Blake wasn't part of the actual original myths?
No. But I think this is worth a read because it is, and I will say this. I made the joke that it's hard to build a house with a foundation earlier when we were talking about when I was talking to somebody else about Loki and how the first episode is the foundation. You can't build a house without a foundation. This is a great foundation for knowing what these stories are.
Yes, absolutely.
Even if they're way different in the universe you're paying attention to, it at least gets you going the right direction.
Yeah. The fact that Larry Lieber and Stan Lee did all those, and Jack Kirby did all those great stories and never once got to the squirrel that runs up and down Yggdrasil, Ratatoskr, that in itself shows
they never made it Squirrel Girl.
What?
They could have just made it Squirrel Girl.
Yes. Absolutely. By the way, Joel has it right with Norse mythology.
That's the title of my forthcoming homebrew book.
There you go.
Yeah. That explains the stuff I had to make to be able to understand the Loki show.
By the way, and JD wants to know who the baby face in the hat is.
I have no idea, JD.
Yeah, you shaved off about 15 years when you did that.
I'll let you know when I figure it out. All right. From Mad Cave Studios, a book that I've talked about every time it's come out. Nottingham or Nottingham, depending on your political points of view. So you got to remember that this is the other side of the story of Robin Hood. And the interesting thing is that in the last issue, the sheriff suffered this great loss that's really kind of weighed on him at the end of the book. And now he finds himself in a situation where there's this tournament where the sheriff is there trying to find certain people, including Robin Hood and the Merry Men. But once that's found out, it all kind of goes to pot and winds up creating chaos. So he does learn something that's important for the story, but that just leaves you with more questions than you have answers. Nottingham number 4, Nottingham number 5 comes out a month from now, and I think there's only 6 issues in this series, so maybe catch up.
Yeah. Like I said, definitely love the concept of that series and taking it from the other side.
Yeah. I've been watching WWE's Greatest Treasures on A&E, and these autobiographies or these biographies they've been having of wrestlers, and they did one on Andre the Giant. And every time they talked about Andre the Giant in The Princess Bride, I started thinking about Nottingham and how great it would have been to have, how great Andre would have been as a couple of the characters in the book.
Oh yeah.
If it got adapted,
Yep. So. That's such a great movie, The Princess Bride.
Mm-hmm. From Hero Tomorrow Comics, Bloom number 2. Hero Tomorrow is she's got some stuff on her face.
Yeah.
So Hero Tomorrow Comics, guys, is a real small publisher. If you've not been following them, you should look into their work. They have a book called Punchline that was really popular, not at all related to the DC character Punchline. Punchline is a killer clown, an actual killer clown, sort of in the vein of it. They also have a book called The Tap Dance Killer, which is a severely more violent Harley Quinn somehow. And then Apama the Lost Boy, which is another story they had that is vaguely like Savage Lands stories. But this is Bloom, and this book is the key to the whole universe. All of those are connected. We're not sure how. This is the key to the whole universe.
Nice.
Yes, it is a great cover. JD. They do really good work over there at Hero Tomorrow Comics. And I just hope they get some recognition for it. Ted Sikora, who writes them, is a great dude.
And Butch Mappa's a good artist, so I'm pretty sure I had a chance to work with him over at Zenoscope.
That would make sense. He comes from that background.
Yeah.
Okay. Something that was on both of our lists, Dan. Space Pirate Captain Harlock from Ablaze Comics.
Yeah, I don't normally tap into the Ablaze Comics line, but this book has been on my radar since they first released the covers. And, this is an older character that's been around for years. And, Leiji Matsumoto is actually writing it. You got Jerome Alki doing the art. But, this is an epic new story with the character set within the timeline of the original series. This brand new Captain Harlock adventure marks the beginning of a new story arc. Planet Earth is threatened by an upcoming invasion by the Sylvedris. And despite being banished as a pirate, Captain Harlock won't give up trying to save the world. This time, the source of danger comes directly from Earth, not outer space. A team of scientists discover a Sylvedris mausoleum where they find information about terrifying genetic manipulation and a destructive power capable of either providing the Sylvedris with immortality or putting an end to their civilization. The unprecedented cold spell hitting Earth might only be a taste of what the new enemy has in store. Will Captain Harlock and his crew manage to solve the mystery and save the Earth from yet another menace?
So if you don't know the background of the character, this is a character that's based and comes directly out of manga.
Mm-hmm.
Like this was a manga before it was a comic book, and then it's been a comic book for kind of a while. So this character has been around for a long time. So the Sylvedris and Captain Harlock have a long story history, and there's quite a lot of background there. And what's interesting to me about this book is that this is a first for this format with this character. You've got sort of a different format than you're used to with this character in terms of it's always been longer stories. I don't know if they've ever done an issue of single floppies with this character, but there have been OGNs and things like that. So it's an interesting way to tell the story that's not been told before with a character that has been. So that really kind of got my my interest up on that one. All right. You know, it's kind of a small week, Dan. We don't have a whole lot left, so we may have to stretch. We'll see what happens.
You can talk about time travel.
Yeah. Evan Doherty and I'm going to forget the artist's name. This is Seven Swords from Aftershock Comics. It's
Ricardo
Latina and Evan Doherty from Aftershock Comics. A weary and jaded D'Artagnan. Sorry.
It's a Three Musketeers story.
It is a Three Musketeers story. I was going to try and bury that lead, but then the third word in the solicitation was D'Artagnan.
Yes.
And there goes burying the lead.
Yeah, I don't think there's another D'Artagnan in all of literature.
Nope. Well, and by the time I got to Cardinal Richelieu, we would have been down the hill already. But weary and jaded D'Artagnan is drawn into a final conflict with the wicked Cardinal Richelieu, whose ruthless quest for power has led him to the supernatural. But the last musketeer can't defeat these infernal enemies alone. To save the world, he'll need to join forces with 7 iconic swashbuckling heroes: Don Juan, Captain Blood, Cyrano de Bergerac, just to name a few.
Nice.
7 swords who must overcome their host of differences and work together if they have any hope of thwarting Richelieu's diabolical plans. From writer Evan Doherty, who wrote such films as Snow White and the Huntsman, and Divergent and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles illustrator. Oh, Evan Doherty wrote all of those things. They put a period in a weird place. I'll have to talk to whoever writes solicitation. And illustrator Ricardo Martina comes High Adventure on Cutting Edge. It's Ricardo Latina, but whatever. The solicitation on this is rough. Just know it's the last Musketeer.
Mm-hmm.
So whoever's left after the Mickey Mouse Club closes, this is who we've got. And then all of the great swordsmen ever, I suspect, and I would have to ask the person who will know. I know the person who will know that Zorro makes an appearance. You know, all the great swordsmen. At some point, I'm sure Darth Vader shows up.
So this is continuing Chris O'Donnell's story against Tim Curry.
Yeah.
Nice. But no Oliver Platt, no Charlie Sheen, no Kiefer Sutherland. Got it. But Antonio Banderas shows up.
Yeah, that's sad for me. That there's no Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah. That really was a good version of the Three Musketeers. It was a fun version.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's like I said, I like it. I'm excited for this book. The next book is a book that doesn't contain any vowels, which is a great writing challenge, I'd imagine. It's Berserker #3. And the reason it doesn't have any vowels is because they're all in the author's names.
You say that, and all I can think of is the old George Hamilton movie, Zorro the Gay Blade. Do you have a problem with your bowels? My what? Your bowels. Your A-E-I-O-U.
I was hoping to not have to think about George Hamilton today.
Well, you did mention Zorro, and then you talk about vowels.
I
You
understand.
asked for it. You specifically.
I understand. I recognize what I've done, Dan. But of all the days for your obscure reference gun to be on point. So basically, guys, issue 3, we find out who Bee's real family is. Plus some other stuff, but that's the big thing. So make sure you check this one out.
Old
then-
Bunny Wigglesworth.
The silver coin is back, and Dan's heard me talk about this for months now.
It's another Ed Bryson book, the same guy that wrote the Captain America story. Annual we covered.
It is, but you have to remember Silver Coin is actually a Michael Walsh book. The way Silver Coin works is it's an anthology series.
His name is Kyle. He's just being silly.
Yes, it is. I have a Kevin Malone shirt on. So Silver Coin is actually Michael Walsh. It's this art. It's an anthology series all by the same artist, Michael Walsh, and then he's brought in different writers. So we've had Chip Zdarsky, Kelly Thompson. Now we have Ed Brisson, and next time is Jeff Lemire. Is my shirt Post? I don't understand.
Post Malone.
No. It's Kevin Malone. But anyway, so the Grizzly third installment of the horror anthology is Silver Coin by All-Stars Michael Walsh, Chip Zdarsky, Kelly Thompson, Ed Brisson, Jeff Lemire. After a home invasion goes bad, the mysterious coin helps the new owners outrun the law, but it's leading them down a path much darker. All right, here's the t-shirt. It's Kevin with the pot of chili from The Office. He's about to spill it all over the ground. It's a fun shirt. So Silver Coin, like I said, it's up my alley. I like art-driven stories. So this is an artist kind of with the story idea, working with the writers to drive it to a certain place. Okay. Jupiter's Legacy Requiem.
Okay. I picked this one for tonight partly because everybody who got into Jupiter's Legacy, this is a chance for them to continue the story. But partly because this solicitation was obviously written before Netflix decided not to continue the series. So, Jupiter's Legacy Requiem #1 from Image Comics, Mark Millar and Tommy Lee Edwards. Special double-sized issue. The next chapter in 2021's Netflix global phenomenon begins here as Mark Millar returns for the sequel to one of the most critically acclaimed series. Chloe and Hutch have gotten married and have more children. The superheroes are working in harmony with humanity and creating a perfect world, but all is not well in the Garden of Eden as the Sampson family gets ripped apart and the secrets of the Netflix show's mysterious island begins to be revealed. Order big, as this will be a juggernaut. Now, Netflix has canceled the idea of a second Jupiter's Legacy, but they're not canceling the universe, as Super Crooks is going to continue. So while Jupiter's Legacy is done, that universe is going to keep going, and some of the answers you're not going to be able to get through that will be in here about the island and things like that. So while I think it's a little ironic that they're talking about it being a juggernaut, it's, you know, with the idea that this was going to be a big Netflix series and it really wasn't. This is an important book for anybody who enjoyed the show, and a lot of people did. So I wasn't one of them, but a lot of people did. So there you go.
I was one of the people who tolerated the show. I liked the comics. I did not necessarily like the adaptation for the show. That being said, I've thought for a long time Mark needed to continue the Jupiter's Legacy story, because even in the original run, it didn't feel fleshed out as much as much other Mark Millar stuff does.
Can you answer Joel's question?
I can, and I'm heading that direction.
Please.
I'm driving there, Dan. I'm driving there. I'm just not quite there yet. 2 bus
right.
stops away. That being said, I always felt like after the original series, it needed more fleshed out. Then they announced they're going to do a TV show or a movie. I'm like, okay, great. This can flesh out some of that stuff. And then Netflix did not to get that far. So there's a number of people who have no idea what's going on watching this show. And then a streaming service who has no idea what's going on cancels the show before anybody gets any of the answers they want. So you're left to figure out what to do. And so to answer Joel's question, Joel, I don't want to be this guy, but maybe start with one of the other Millarverse books. One of the other things like Super Crooks that ties in. Rather than starting with Jupiter's Legacy. If you haven't read Jupiter's Legacy, maybe start elsewhere in the Millarverse. That's true. I mean, it didn't cover very much. Then come back around once you've got kind of a foothold. Read Super Crooks or read one of the other things, Starlight or one of those. Huck, great opportunity. Read some of those, get a foothold, then come back and read the original comics, watch the show, then read this. I hate to be that guy because that's like a big bite, but it's the best way I think you can understand the fullness of this Mark Millar created universe.
Well, now I'm going to probably go do that too, because I think the concept was interesting, but I have not read the books, and and the show just moved really slow for me.
The book itself doesn't fly.
Yeah.
But how do I put this in a way that makes sense? The book itself doesn't go very fast. The TV show took that and was like, hey, watch this. And then proceeded to live its whole life in slow motion. Like, it was like, come on, man. So, I like it. So.
All right. Fair enough.
All right, let's take a break.
Love it.
All right. Back in a minute.
There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit ComicShopLocator.com to find a store near you.
What's up, the internet? It's Kyle. I am joined, as always, by that guy,
This guy.
Sergeant Theory, the Dan Wickline. And this is in stores this week. So before we get going with the last of our books, because there aren't that many, I'm going to take this opportunity to stall slightly and talk to Dan about something that's important to Dan, which is the Dan Wickline Show.
Yes.
Which may not actually be important to him, but we're going to pretend like it is.
Well, it was important enough. I put my name on it.
Okay, that's fair.
Yep. We do the show 3 times a week.
Mm-hmm. Tomorrow, you're going to have my very good friend, Jim Beard, on the show.
Yes. He's got 2 books, one out now, a Pulp Fiction style book. And then he's also got a Green Hornet prose novel coming out from Moonstone. And we've both written Green Hornet, so I thought it'd be fun to talk about what he's got coming up, but also how you approach a character like the Green Hornet that has such a long and storied history.
Is the answer you focus on the car?
For me, it's you focus on an aspect of the character, maybe the car. That would actually be one of the ways to go. When I wrote the Green Hornet, I focused on the fact that he's known as a criminal, which would be interesting if he got amnesia or lost his memory for a little while. And the only person that told him, who he is knows him as a criminal. And that was the basis for my story.
Am I misremembering something? Was there a movie where...
If you're thinking about the Seth Rogen movie, just forget it. Just put it out of your mind.
They made that movie, though, right? That wasn't like a fever dream?
It was a fever dream that someone let them make the movie, yes. The movie exists and needs to die.
Yeah, I'm not arguing that it should still be around. I'm just trying to remember. Is this a thing that actually happened, or is this the Mandela effect here?
Yeah, Cameron Diaz, Christoph Waltz, and Seth Rogen. I can't remember the name who played Kato, but it is a horrible slap to the face of anybody who likes the Green Hornet. It's kind of like when they take an old show we grew up loving and then they make a parody version of it. Like if you grew up liking the Dukes of Hazzard and suddenly they make this idiotic version, with
Jessica Simpson?
With Jessica Simpson, yeah. And Sean, whatever name. Yeah. That's what it's like. They made a joke out of a character that a lot of people take very seriously.
Well, the only reason I bring it up is that I vividly remember going to the premiere and getting handed a flashlight like thing where you press the button and it put the Green Hornet symbol up,
Mhm.
and thinking that the Green Hornet is not Batman. In that everybody was like, "Hey, look, it's the Green Hornet symbol, like, or the Green Hornet signal, like it's the bat signal." And I'm like, no, 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 no,
Now,
no.
a little tidbit of history that a lot of people don't know about the Green Hornet is that he is canonically the great nephew of the Lone Ranger. Both characters were created by the same person over for a radio station in Chicago, who created the Lone Ranger and Tonto first, then later on decided they needed another show like that, so they came up with the Green Hornet and Kato using the same formula. And Britt Reed, of course, is the great nephew of Dan Reed, the Lone Ranger, and it was Dan's brother who had the son that who died. Well, that's the lineage. He's the great nephew of the Lone Ranger, and they were both radio programs before they were ever comics or anything else.
So JD asks, was its Rotten Tomatoes score on par with Joel Schumacher's Batman? Well, the answer is that Green Hornet got a 44% on Rotten Tomatoes. And if we look up Joel Schumacher's Batman,
And I have a good idea of why that is.
why it got 44%?
Yeah. Because I think that people who don't know the character and who went in thinking, oh, it's a Seth Rogen comedy, they probably got what they wanted, because for God's sakes, they thought it was a Seth Rogen comedy.
So the answer to that question is that it's in the neighborhood of Batman Forever, which got a 38%, but is a significantly better liked movie than Batman and Robin, which is saying something.
Yes.
Because I had to be pretty drunk to get through that movie.
Nice to see you.
Well, no, I'm talking about Green Hornet. I had to get pretty drunk to get through that movie.
Oh, Green Hornet was horrible.
Yes.
So bad. And I like Cameron Diaz, and I like Christoph Waltz. It hurt. It hurt my soul.
And by the way, it was Jay Chow.
Yeah.
Played Kato. All right, let's get back to comics.
Yeah.
We have technically 2 indies left.
All right.
One is really an indie, and another one is previews indie. So we'll go this way. We'll go with Save Yourself from Boom Box, Boom Studios.
Mm-hmm. Bones Leopard and Kelly and Nicole Matthews. What if Magic Girl? This whole idea is, what if the people who we think are heroes aren't really heroes? And it says, what if Magic Girls weren't Earth's champions at all?
Well, it says magical girls, which is a different thing, and I've learned that dealing in the anime world.
I'm sorry. What if magical girls weren't Earth champions at all? Ao, Thel, and Jen, better known as the Lovely Trio, first burst onto the scenes 5 years ago when they saved the Earth from a surprise space monster attack. Since then, everyone, including Gigi, whose brother died as a bystander in the Lovely Trio battle, idolized them as the superheroic pop icons. But when Gigi witnesses the Lovely Trio battle a monster firsthand, she sees something that causes her to question everything she thought she ever knew about her heroes. A magical new series from the team behind Pandora's Legacy. Writer Bones Leopard from Identical and artists Kelly and Nicole Matthews from Just Beyond. That's perfect for fans of Sailor Moon and Wind.
So magical girls are usually the anime equivalent of what I would call the DC superhero girls.
Okay.
Or the team from Marvel Rising. They're teens. They in the anime and manga world, they tend to be a little bit more fan servicey. than they do in the comic book world.
Okay.
But the difference between a magical girl and a magic girl is magical girls have powers, whereas magic girls just do magic. And this is all a roundabout way of saying that if you have a teenage daughter and you're looking to get them into comics, this is your bet. This lives in that vein of Bee and Puppy Cat and what was it called? Miraculous. That came out a few years ago. It's going to feel a lot like some of the other Boom Studios books like Dodge City and some of their more all ages titles from Boom, but this one is specifically geared towards girls. So it's interesting. It's a cool look. I think it's interesting that they're coming at it from what if they weren't good, because usually this is one of those. It's like when Hulk Hogan leg drops you and you can't kick out, even though Hulk Hogan barely touched you. Unbeatable kind of things. Magical girls are generally unbeatable. They're generally you can't nothing beats them. And to look at it from a different perspective, that sure maybe they get the job done, but by what means is not something you see every day.
So you think that they just aren't as heroic as we think, or could this be like the magical girl equivalent of the Thunderbolts, where they're actually not heroes?
No, I think they're heroes. I mean, I think they are doing the job, but think about it like the beginning of Invincible, where they're doing the job, but they're causing a lot of problems in the process.
Yeah.
Or the Avengers after the Battle of New York, where everything is destroyed. They're going to sit and eat shawarma while the rest of the world has to rebuild around them. I think that's kind of what they're going for. And that maybe these magical girls are a little more selfish.
Kicking Chitauri butt builds up an appetite.
I understand. It also builds up a need for a prosthetic lip, but we won't talk about that.
And there's a good chance that Tony Stark single-handedly kept that shawarma place from going under from the damage by buying enough shawarma. He probably kept them open.
It's true. Tony Stark was the original PPP. All right. So this is technically in previews listed as an indie. You ready?
Okay. Jeez. Why would it be listed as an indie? The Milestone?
Because Milestone is the publisher.
Jeez. Oh, man.
Right. We're not going to talk about how that's inappropriate or that's problematic or any of that kind of stuff. We're going to talk about how great is it that Static is back.
Exactly. Static Season 1, Number 1, Vita Ayala, Chris Cross, and Nicholas Draper-Ivy. You've been waiting for his comeback for nearly a decade, and at long last, the most famous face of the Milestone universe is making his shocking return. Bullied nerd Virgil Hawkins wasn't the kind of kid that you'd normally find on the streets at the protest, but like everyone else in the city of Dakota, he was fed up. Unfortunately, the first time he stood up to raise his voice, the world turned upside down. The experimental tear gas released that day left some of his classmates maimed or dead, but it left Virgil and others with stunning new abilities. Virgil has the power inside of him now, real power, the ability to channel and manipulate electromagnetic fields. But there's an anger burning inside of him too. What is he supposed to do about all this? And first and foremost, what is he supposed to do about the bullies now that they've got superpowers too? This is fascinating. It's like a relaunch of the Milestone universe.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this is the most popular character to come out of it, mainly because he got his own TV series or his animated series, where the other ones just never quite broke out of comics.
They did. Some of them had. There was a Hardware series, I think, or if there wasn't, there was certainly a. Oh, now I'm gonna feel dumb. What was the other one? There was another big character.
Icon?
Hardware, huh?
Icon?
Yes, there was certainly Icon stuff that happened.
Okay.
So JD, no, this is DC and Milestone, but this was a Milestone character before it was a DC character.
Right.
In that Milestone was always an imprint of DC, but it was its own thing that was run by Dennis Cowan and a group of guys back then. But what's interesting is that they list it as Milestone and not DC Milestone or DC altogether. As a kid coming up, Static was one of the great cartoon shows. I had no idea how important the character Static was, how important Icon was, how important Hardware was, how important some of these other characters were in the comic book world until much later. We had Amani on the show a couple weeks ago when Dan was sick to kind of talk about how important the Milestone books are. In fact, Amani at one point gave a TED talk on how important the Milestone characters were and how important characters like Brother Man from other publishers were. So it's great that these things are back. It's great that they're giving them a second life. And it's great that they're being created by a generation of people who grew up with them.
Absolutely.
So that's super fun.
Yep.
They are relaunching all the titles. Every original Milestone character is coming back. So that's something maybe put on your pull list now. Tell your LCS, we want Milestone. Make mine Milestone. So
I think that particular phrase might be used already.
well, we can. We're
All
taking
right.
it back, Dan. All right, so let's do this. We still have our DC books to do.
Yes.
There are 5 of them.
Yep.
Let's do this. Let's take a quick break and come back, and we'll knock out the Marvel books. And I don't want to say maybe get out of here a little early, or we'll knock out the DC books and maybe get out of here a little early, but we'll make sure we spend enough time on each of them to really kind of, make sure we represent them well.
Yep.
Sound like a good plan?
I'm in.
Okay. We'll be right back.
There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit ComicShopLocator.com to find a store near you.
Welcome back, everybody. I am Kyle. This is In Stores This Week. And before I bring Dan back on screen, I want to remind you guys, head over to Twitter. Or not Twitter. TikTok and Instagram. TikTok and Instagram. And follow us at _EXP1. That's the number one. Not the word or the letters, just the number one. _EXP1. We just posted a fun TikTok. We're trying our first TikTok trend. Ironically, and it is, we'll see how that goes. So I'm going to bring Dan back on, and we will.
Before we jump into DC, I got a tiny bit of Hollywood news that just broke. That is loosely comic related. When I was a kid, there was a movie called American Gigolo with Richard Gere, and part of what made that kind of interesting was the fact that in it, he reads Silver Surfer comics. And he opines about how much he appreciates Silver Surfer and the freedom of all the spaceways and stuff. So in my mind, the American Gigolo series is somehow tied to comics. Well, they've just announced that there's going to be a new kind of a reboot of the American Gigolo story, but it's going to be done as a series on Showtime and cast as the lead, taking the Richard Gere role,
Rob
John Bernthal from The Punisher.
Okay.
So,
I need to think about this a little more, because I don't have the affinity for American Gigolo that you do, Dan. Having not seen it when it originally was out, I thought my Rob Schneider joke, Deuce Bigelow, male gigolo, was a good joke. But John Bernthal playing that role that has a lot of strong opinions about that role, a lot of strong opinions about that show. People really loved it.
now another interesting connection. Another show, I think it was either Showtime or HBO series, hung about a teacher who loses his job and becomes a gigolo to be able to pay for his house. Starred another Punisher, Thomas Jane.
Yes, sorry.
Actually, no, Tom. I get it.
In
and
my brain, I just kept going Hardy, and I'm going, that's wrong.
Yeah. So Thomas Jane, and it guest star, or one of the regulars on the series, was Stephen Amell, who would go on to become a different vigilante in Punisher or in Arrow. See, it all ties together. It's all comic related. Guys having sex and, comic books.
You want to see our attempt at our first TikTok trend?
Yeah, let's see that.
All right, here we go.
Running away, it's the living that's hot. Running away, it's the living that's hot.
I like these new commercials, by the way. I think they're actually pretty good.
JD and I are having a lot of fun writing them.
Well, they're good. I'm enjoying them.
Yeah, we're having a lot of fun writing them.
Cool. All right. So should we do DC now? Because we know Batman can't. It's not what heroes do. Guys having comic books.
Well, as has been talked about already, it's not what superheroes do, JD Smith. So if you don't know what that joke is, just look at the news. All right, let's start with why don't we start with the superhero who wouldn't do that?
Yes. He would do anything for love, but he won't do that. We now know what Beowulf was talking about.
We're having too much fun with this joke.
We are. We absolutely are. Legends of the Dark Knight #2. This is Derek Robertson and Diego Rodriguez. Epic Bad Night, Good Night continues. The Joker has been poisoned. Batman has a choice to make. Does he let his ultimate enemy live or die? The perfect riddle for the Riddler to sink his teeth into. Batman receives a sinister clue that leads him into a new death trap, but it looks like a new quizzical force might be at work in Gotham, looking to undermine Batman and get the hands on the toxins every villain in the city is fighting over. So this is Derek Robertson, who comes from The Boys, comes from Transmetropolitan, which is, I still think, one of the best series ever put out there. Goes all the way back to the New Warriors. Okay, Derek Robertson is an amazing artist. He's writing this series as well, I believe. And
he's doing it all on this.
Yeah, and he's taken. Yeah, he's having fun with the Batman universe. But again, it's Legends of the Dark Knight, so it's maybe just kind of outside the norm. And that's what Legends of the Dark Knight always was. The previous series were the stories that were just slightly outside. So
right. I mean, I remember Legends of the Dark Knight Shaman. That was so weird.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're a Derek Robertson fan or if you're a Batman fan, this is a great book
fan
to
of
pick
the
up.
weird.
The fan of the weird. It's only issue number 2, so you can grab it, look for number 1, and go home and enjoy the story.
Absolutely. Okay.
Oh, JD brings up an interesting point. If Batman purposely saves Joker from poison, then he's 50% responsible for every homicide Joker commits moving forward.
No. Law of diminishing returns. He's responsible for the first homicide the Joker commits going forward. And until the Joker is killed again and revived by someone else, a medical professional, he is 50% responsible. Then he only becomes like 38% responsible.
It sounds like you're amortizing guilt.
I am.
Interesting. I never thought of trying to do it that way. But you seem very specific on the numbers.
Mm-hmm. Something like that.
This is a real life story here, isn't it?
No.
You saved a killer once. I can tell.
No, my math is just like that.
Oh, okay.
My brain can only do math as it relates to fictional characters.
And how much guilt they feel about
how much
pending death.
killing they do. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Everybody needs a hobby.
It's just the only way I can ever do math. That's how I got through college. All right.
Much better than train lead
Supergirl,
station.
Woman of Tomorrow.
Yes. Well, it's interesting that they're giving her this title, man, because he was always the Man of Tomorrow. So now Supergirl gets it. And they call her Woman of Tomorrow, but she's still Supergirl. Tom King and Bill
I guess it's
Quist.
better than Babe of Tomorrow.
That sounds more like a Barbarella title. So we should call Nick. We could probably make that happen. Kara Zor-El has seen some epic adventures over the years, but finds her life without meaning or purpose. Here she is, a young woman who saw her planet destroyed and was sent to Earth to protect a baby cousin who ended up not needing her. What was it all for? Wherever she goes, people only see her through the lens of Superman's fame. Just when Supergirl thinks she's had enough, everything changes. An alien girl seeks her out for a vicious mission. Her world has been destroyed, and the bad guys responsible are still out there. She wants revenge, and if Supergirl doesn't help her, she'll do it herself, whatever the cost. Now, a Kryptonian, a dog, and an angry, heartbroken child head out into space on a journey that will shake them to their very core. This is Supergirl John Wick edition.
See, that's what I was thinking. I mean, you've got the big savior for me on this book is Crypto.
Yes.
Right? Like,
anytime
that's
you
the
put the
big
dog in.
Right. But you basically are Supergirl facilitating teen angst is the book you're making here. And there's nothing wrong with that. And it is an Infinite Frontier book, so we don't know canonically where it sits in time.
Right.
How close is it to Infinite? What was that event called, Dan?
Infinite Frontier?
No, the event they did.
Oh,
Final the
Final
new Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Final Frontier? No.
No, Infinite, whatever. Anyhow, we're both tired.
Yeah.
But no, this is part of the new line there at DC, where things are maybe not as clear in terms of timeline as you would have them be. So Tom King, Matt Lopes, and Bilquis Evely on the creative team here. 8-issue mini series, where it's Supergirl is essentially confronting her own teenage angst by helping someone else confront their teenage angst. So Daria the comic book.
But you're right about anytime you add crypto, it makes the book better.
Yep. 100%.
Absolutely. But anytime you add a dog, it's better. That's why
Right,
John
it's
Wick
true.
had a dog in it.
By the way, guys, not related to anything, and whatever. Head over to Kickstarter and look up Good Boy from Source Point Press, written by Garrett Gunn and Christina Blanche. The premise of the book is reverse John Wick. So the
Dog is
human
out
gets
for
killed.
revenge.
Yep.
Yay!
It's amazing and hysterical, and you should go check it out.
I love all
Over on
these dog
Kickstarter.
books coming out. Good Boys, Stray Dogs. I just, the more dog books, the better the world's going to be.
Right? Exactly. I just want for the first time in a long time an ongoing story about the world's goodest phase teleporting dog, Lockjaw. Like, we don't need any people. It's just Lockjaw at dog parks trying
Yeah.
to figure out what's going on. Essentially just take any Quantum Leap script and replace the lead character with Lockjaw, and I'm good with it.
Yeah.
I get it. Dan's
I'd
not
like-
all about the Lockjaw story.
No.
but I am.
I'm good with that. I'd love to see a 4 to 6 issue serious miniseries with Crypto. Have him chasing down.
Well, a couple weeks ago, we had a book come out, Crypto, a crypto story by Jesse McCann. It was originally published in 2006, and they just repackaged and re-released it.
But that's 2006. That's 15 years ago. We need more Crypto. I'll write the damn
Fair.
book.
I will
DC,
tell
call
Jesse
me.
to write it.
Yeah.
Or Dan can write it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's just jump over to that cover with the Batgirl on it. Batwoman. Truth
Yes.
and Justice, number 5.
Now, I've already been enjoying the Truth and Justice series, but this one caught my attention because recently I became friends with Maria Laura Senepo on Facebook. So now I'm seeing her post a bunch of art from this book, and it looks phenomenal. Grace Ellis is writing it. Maria's doing the art, and the solicitation's tiny. It just says, Batwoman tries to take some time to herself, get away from Gotham City, but an urban legend in an Appalachian town catches her attention, gets her into trouble. That is so minute compared to what the story looks to be.
Can I tell you something?
Please.
In a few weeks, I'm going on vacation.
To an Appalachian town?
Ironically, basically.
Will you be wearing your
I'm going
Batwoman
to
costume?
Athens, Ohio, which is close to Appalachia.
Yeah.
I will not be wearing a Batwoman costume, but I will bet you $100 that the urban legend in this story and the urban legend on our show of Nick Barucci have the same effect on our lives.
To make us do more work?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Will call me at the worst time and get me in trouble with my family.
Well, Wow, you made me lose my train of thought now. I'm not even sure
Hey,
how we work Nick Barucci, the Jersey Devil himself, into this. Um, from what I've seen of the art, it looks absolutely phenomenal. There it is. One of the things I like to do that when a writer does it is when they take Batman, or in this case Batwoman, out of the city, out of the natural element. Steve Niles did a fun series called Gotham City Line, I think it was, where he took Batman out to the suburbs of Gotham. And it changes everything. At one point, he had to pull out a jetpack just to get around. And I like the idea here is that we're taking her out of Gotham. Some characters are very city dependent. So when you take them out of that element, it changes everything about the character. It's like Spider-Man in the suburbs. You know, he's got nothing to swing on. You take away half his abilities in a way. So that's what I really like about this, what I'm looking forward about it, is to see Batwoman in this different element. And the pages I've seen, it looks like there's a female character she's dealing with who is just messing with her. So it looks like it might be a very fun book as well. But look for it. Truth and Justice #5. All of the issues up till then, whether it was the Constantine book, the Vixen book, the Question, I believe, was one of them. These have been great. So check it out. Grace Ellis, Maria Laura Sanapo doing Batwoman.
To respond to Joel, I do know about the Kickstarter. I do know the author. I don't know her well, but I do know the author. It's Shelley Bond.
Used to be Vertigo, DC Vertigo.
Yeah.
And now she's doing stuff with Dark Horse?
I know her from Insider Art, which was a anthology she did to benefit women and non-binary people in the comic book industry. And now she's doing this one. So I don't know exactly where she's at professionally, but I know she's doing some creator-owned, creator-led stuff. All right. We'll go to this way. Soups, red and blue.
John Romita Jr. cover. Is this going to be one of the last ones he does for DC? Because didn't he go back to...
I don't know if that announcement is public yet.
Well, we know he's doing work for Marvel again.
Right. Well, he's always been... I don't think he's ever been exclusive anyplace.
Right.
I think he was always free to work for both.
Okay. So never mind. I didn't say anything. Superman Red and Blue #4. Whole bunch of different creators on it. This month, our cover stars Bizarro leaves the Red and Blue family by not being in a story all about his very own birthday, which of course means we definitely have a story in here about Bizarro. Bizarro, as well as 4 more about the Man of Steel himself, including one about a social media star who inspires a very dangerous trend in Metropolis that nearly runs Superman ragged. I assume it's jumping off a building to be caught by Superman, something like that. Also, learn the story of how Jimmy Olsen was able to take what became his very favorite picture of Superman. These fantastic tales feature some of the best writers and artists in the business, but we're not going to list any of them in the solicitation. Only using Superman's special colors to make them come alive, red and blue.
So we have Mark Waid, Josh Williamson, Rich Duke, Michael Conrad, Francis Manipul, Chris Sprouse, Joe Quinones, Cully Hammer, Audrey Mock, Klaus Janson, John Romita Jr., Walt Simonson, and Alexander Lozano on this book.
Is anybody else allowed to ink JR, or is it just Klaus Janson now?
No, Klaus did his own cover.
Oh, wow. Nice. Because I think
also,
of...
yes, Scott Hanna and numerous others have inked John.
That's right. And Klaus used to ink Frank Miller.
Yes.
Right. All right. So I think that's all the books we have this week.
One more. I actually have a DC book on my list.
No. Say it ain't so.
DC Represent #1. This might as well be a trade paperback, but this is an oversized prestige-bound issue. DC Represent is the collection of the original 7 digital first stories that they did. Celebrating powerful voices, collecting issues 1 through 7 of the revolutionary digital first series. New voices present relevant topical visions of social change and personal histories, some true to life while others are semi-fictionalized accounts of real experiences. All have one thing in common: innovative storylines and compelling stories which examine how our culture builds understanding, tracing society's arc toward justice as we evolve in pursuit of a more just and compassionate world. Includes talent spotlights. That's a whole sentence. Includes talent spotlights. Jules, a black teenager, is given a pair of old binoculars as he heads out for a morning of bird watching in Central Park. He soon learns the binoculars show him a lot more than birds, and maybe they keep him safe too. Jesse Holland's Mississippi farm has been in his family since their first ancestor was freed from slavery, tended by his grandfather and his father before him. But as Jesse grows into a man, he's unsure if a patch of land in the piney woods and a life of tilling soil is his true destiny. But destiny can mean so much more than dirt and a tractor. Lancey's passion for cooking and a desire for a career in culinary arts are challenged by the source of her inspiration, her father, who is concerned about his only daughter working in a kitchen like so many Black Americans before her. And this and many more. The reason this thing came onto my radar, one, is it was a digital first originally. So this is something that they just put up digitally only, and there was a big outcry from the community, the comic book community, about why are we not publishing this book to the direct market? But also because it has art by Eric Battle, who I love, and Doug Braithwaite, who I love. So that's, part of this as well.
Yeah, Doug Braithwaite's work on Bloodshot was absolutely amazing. His run on Bloodshot was brilliant, and I recommend going back and looking at those too. If you're a Braithwaite fan, if you didn't pick up the Bloodshot runs, that whole line he did with I cannot remember the writer on it, but it was just amazing. Really, really good stuff.
Right. That was, oh God, that's going to bug me. I'm going to have to look it up. Doug Braithwaite on Bloodshot was come on. Zach Thompson, Lonnie Nadler, Doug Braithwaite did covers on that one. And then he's done a bunch of Bloodshot stuff. He was at Valiant for a while.
Yeah, no, there was a run he did. I can't remember but it was a big name.
Bloodshot USA. He was on.
Yes.
With Jeff Lemire.
Jeff Lemire, that's it. Jeff Lemire and Doug Braithwaite's run on Bloodshot is phenomenal. So.
And then Eric Battle, who you might know from his work on Cobalt. But I personally loved his run on Painkiller Jane. Loved his work on Painkiller Jane.
Another good series. Have we got a minute for a little self-promotion?
Self-promote. We got 10 minutes, so self-promote slowly.
One of the big things I've done in the last couple of years was a series for Top Cow called The Freeze. The whole concept was basically the world has stopped. Every person on the planet has stopped moving except for one guy, a guy named Ray Adams. And not only is he the only person still moving, he has the ability to touch people and bring them out of whatever stasis, whatever the frozen they're in. Now, this is basically a post-apocalyptic world without the apocalypse. It's about rebuilding society, all based around this one guy and the pressures of being the only person to be able to bring people back. But then you've got to start figuring out, okay, who do I bring back? Who don't I bring back? There's a lot of political intrigue. It was a very well-received series. It got a lot of great response. But currently, we only did the first arc. The art on the book was by Philip Sevy, and it's absolutely gorgeous stuff. I'm doing the Nick style of just holding up pages. So you can see, yep, that's somebody actually throwing up there. I had a lot of fun writing this book, but it leaves on the cliffhanger. It leaves on the fact that it's not solved. There's more story to tell. And I absolutely want to tell more of the story. And between you and I, since you're here, I'm currently have a pitch for the next arc in with the lovely folks at Top Cow, and I'm just waiting to hear back if we're going to move forward with the second part. So if there's suddenly a run on people picking up the Freeze at their local comic shop, wouldn't hurt. This is a fun series. Like I said, it got some great reviews. You can see on the back, this was a cover that we did for the Hero Initiative specifically. So there was 2 covers in the first issue. Again, Phil Sevy in the art, Troy Pateri is the letterer. I absolutely really want to continue this series. There is so much more to tell in this universe, but to do so, got to bump it a little bit. So if you're looking for something unique to read, none of the stuff, or you're done picking up all the books for this week, you want one more thing, go over to the graphic novel wall or the trade paperback wall, look in the Top Cow section for the Freeze Volume 1. It's a fun story. It's not a fun, but it's a good story, and I have so much more to tell. So please help me out by checking out the book. Thank you, Joel. Joel says he'll be asking for it tomorrow. So there's my little self-promotion buzz. Kyle, you can come back.
All right. I'm gonna. I read the Freeze. I didn't realize you were the one who wrote it. I'm a bad friend.
Well, it's not like you and I were ever actually properly introduced. Nick just had me show up on the show, and we started working together. And then Nick went away. So
it's true. But no, it's like I knew, so when we started working together, I knew you had written at Zenoscope, and I knew you had worked for a website that we're not going to name. But I didn't realize that you had written The Freeze, which was a book I had read and knew a lot about. So that's interesting to me. So, anything else for the good of the order today? Head to your local comic shop. If you don't know where one is, head to comicshoplocator.com. Type in your zip code and find a local comic shop. Head over to previewsworld.com to find out exactly what's coming out this week.
Mm-hmm.
And stay tuned all week for the rest of our great programming here on The Experience.
Yep. There's a lot of great books that are coming out tomorrow that we didn't get a chance to talk about. Sonia Versal has a new book coming out tomorrow. There's a couple fun trades from Dynamite coming out. Chastity. There's a Pathfinder book. If you're a D&D fan, you want to read stories that are kind of in the D&D mode. The Pathfinder books, they're all written by the co-creator of the Pathfinder system, Eric Mona. You can pick those up. There's a lot of good stuff coming out.
Absolutely. So Dan will be back tomorrow at 5 Eastern.
5 Eastern, 2 Pacific.
2 Pacific. And Thursday at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific.
Mm-hmm.
And I will be back Friday at 8 p.m. with Dave Chisholm, who is the writer of Chasing the Bird from Z2 Comics, who was recently nominated for an Eisner for production design for his hardcover edition of Chasing the Bird.
Mm-hmm.
We will be talking about art and TikTok and jazz, because it's about Charlie Bird Parker.
And remember, Saturdays we have Pop Go the Writers, which is myself, my co-host, Eisner nominated writer Paul Story, who just been nominated. And we're joined again by my guest tomorrow, Jim Beard. We'll be on there and we'll be talking about the very first episode of Loki. Number 2 will be dropped by then, but this is, of course, a rebroadcast from Sunday night. So I haven't figured out who we're going to have as a guest for this week's Pop Go the Writers. One of these days I'm going to bring Kyle on there just for the fun of it.
Yeah, but I don't write.
Yeah.
I also don't pop. I try not to go.
You glisten.
I can the. But yeah,
And you
tune
can
in to
go.
Pop Goes the Writers. You know what I got to do? We'll talk after we get off the air. I'm going to try and convince Jim to come into the studio and do the show tomorrow, so I can be here behind the camera making faces at you. All right, guys. We'll see everybody next time. I have been Kyle. He has been Dave.
Sergeant
Game
Theory.
Theory. Yes, Sergeant Theory, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. And this has been In Stores this week. See you later.
Night, everybody.